Welcome to NuttieBuddie Entertainment. The Great.
So I'm kind of interested, Brian. Brian, what's your first great?
I only have one.
Okay.
So this is my one great for the movie. It was a little bit of a chore to try to figure out what a great was. I almost thought I wouldn't have one, but then I kept coming back to something, and it was I like how the first and this movie the Thor movies keep itself grounded within the MCU, especially with like Loki and the Avengers, and then also like introducing the Infinity Stones as well. And especially now too, where it's still connecting magic and science together within Asgard. And I like that a lot in this movie, especially at the scene where Jane was, having her body checked out, and they were kind of, referencing back to like the first movie on that, but also too having that cameo with like Captain America in there. I thought that was fine. Like it still kind of showed you like, the Avengers are still around. This still happened. Same thing with like Loki being in there as well. Like they didn't just say like nothing about, what happened on Earth or anything. It was a main part of the story where now I feel like a lot of times they kind of just, brush over like, hey, we introduce all these superheroes into movies and we're not going to talk about any of them and just focus on this one that's in the show. So
yeah, that's fair. I like when they keep it connected, and by even the way they started out the movie with Loki being brought forth in front of Odin to face punishment for what he was doing. It kind of connected what happened to the last movie, and like you said, showing Captain America and that it keeps the universe connected. Yeah, I agree. That's a good great. A good great. Speaking of great, how about you, Sarah? What's your first great?
I failed my homework on this one. I could not come up with one. Like I said, I did not feel passionately enough about anything in this movie to feel like it was great.
Okay.
We'll have you right on the chalkboard. Thor is great movie. Thor is great 100 times.
Yeah. Oh man. See, I stretched a couple things. So I'll talk about my great here. I have one as well. I went with Frida's story. I actually kind of liked her story. And so it might just be in the good category, but I feel like it's good enough for this movie that I'm going to put in a great. The fact that she obviously loved Loki, you got to see who trained Loki. It was Frida, right? She helped him learn how to do illusions, and the way she kicked Malekith's butt, was so awesome. And then just like the whole scene, I think that is one of the more like cool scenes, where they get beamed up or whatever. I don't know, the funeral scene. I thought that was a pretty neat scene as well. Yeah. So her storyline, being a protector and protecting her children and like kicking the main bad guy's butt, and really could have killed him, right? Like if the guy who was the curse didn't show up. I just felt like I liked her story the most in this movie, which says something about this movie. But I have her as one of my greats.
I was conflicted on putting her in my great, but she's actually part of one of my bads for it, which has to deal with kind of the direction. Yeah, okay. I'll wait.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah.
And then my other great, I still think Tom Hiddleston's Loki, it was pretty good. I think he's just a great actor. He hit the emotional, like and the writers did a good job with him as far as like, in the scene where Thor approaches him and he's acting like he's okay, and then he's like showing his character of how depressed he was that his mom was dead and he couldn't do anything to stop it because he was in this jail cell. I think Loki was well done for this movie.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And also just doing some research on this movie, because I didn't really look at any of the reviews or anything or any of the gossip going on, but this movie was plagued with like pre-production stuff that was they switched directors like 3 times for it, as well as there were issues with directors, the script changed. They had the director for Wonder Woman in at one point.
Oh,
And she was
interesting.
going to be doing like, she wanted to do a Romeo Juliet like cross-star lovers thing with Thor and Jane, and more focus on their relationship, and kind of mix in Loki with that as well. And Marvel didn't want to really go that direction, so she bowed out. And then a director that had done some TV shows for Game of Thrones as well as The Sopranos is the one who directed this. And then I guess even when he was done shooting, like they had to he was basically kicked out of like the edit bay because he wasn't doing a good job, and they brought in Whedon to do a bunch of rewrites while he was doing Avengers stuff. And I guess like he pretty much rewrote a bunch of Loki's scenes because we weren't going to be getting a lot of him in the movie that the director had cut.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, which was very interesting. So a lot of what we see of Loki in this movie, it wasn't even supposed to be in here. So I don't know if he played a very, very minor role in what we were supposed to be getting. So yeah, that it was interesting just getting that kind of history on the movie.
Oh, that is interesting.
You can see why they made that adjustment though, because I really enjoyed Loki in this movie. Again, I didn't want to make him like my great 2 in a row because that's kind of cheesy. But you can tell like they have fun writing for him, right? Like those scenes with him are always the most like interesting dialogue, the most dynamic acting. So it does make sense, like if they're having trouble to like, well, we can just add him in more, and it will like course correct a little bit, or improve the movie somewhat.
Yeah, I agree. I also think though, like if you're gonna hire somebody and you're like, hey, yeah, write this down as your idea, like just let them do it. Like, because otherwise this is sort of what happens is you kind of like, I agree, like Loki needed to be in this movie to make it really good. But I also could see the argument, like, we don't know just because we didn't get to see the movie that was originally intended.
Which, not to interrupt, but I didn't read all the pre-production stuff, but I did read that the director of this movie wants his own like Zack Snyder's Justice League cut of his Thor: The Dark World. So who knows? We might get blessed with that one day.
I don't know. Like, so let me ask you guys this, because there is a lot of like, I don't know, these director cuts coming on. I know it's a little off topic, but so like even there's going to be this extended re-release of Spider-Man No Way Home that's actually coming out. I think it's going to be like 3 hours long or something like that. Wouldn't you just rather let the director put the film that they want out and just let, like if it's 3 hours, wouldn't you sit in the theater the extra 30-40 minutes just to see the movie that they want to put out? Or is it like, do you guys be like, yeah, maybe they need not to put, you understand what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, no, 100%. I don't know. It's almost more depressing knowing that this isn't the final product that they wanted to come out. I mean, even with like the Snyder cut, I mean, a lot better than what they put out for the Justice League originally. That's my opinion on it.
No, I agree. I just wish they had like 18 less slow motion scenes. I mean, it was a 4-hour movie. It would have been like 3 hours if they cut it like some of those slow motion scenes. But yeah, I agree with you on that. It was just a better movie.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a very Disney thing. You've got to play ball with the way that they want to do it, and if you don't, you get the axe or they get a cut or whatever. So who knows? This was the beginning of what we see now.
Yeah. And I don't know, like with the extended cut kind of thing, it's like they know we'll sit in the theater for how long already. Like Infinity War and Endgame kind of proved that. No Way Home was long, obviously not a Marvel property, but the newest Batman movie was very long and that did great. No one cared. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't want to see an overstuffed movie. Like editing's there for a reason. Not everything needs to be in there, but if a scene adds to the cohesion of the story or makes things more emotionally impactful, then yeah, it definitely should be in there. Like none of that needs to get cut.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. Okay, guys, you ready to move on to the good?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I hope you guys enjoyed this clip of Sarah, Brian, and I breaking down Thor: The Dark World. Let us know in the comments below what is your great, good, bad, and ugly when it comes to this movie. If you haven't checked out already, we have done the great, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if you'd like to listen to the rest of it, click on one of the links to the podcast below. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Thanks so much for watching. We'll talk to you guys soon.